Hi, today I'm going to discuss the criminal justice system, my feelings on it, and the laws of our nation, which, deal with placing people into and in through the processes of the criminal justice system. The first thing that I'd like to say is that it's disheartening to me to think of the countless number of people who are sitting in prison right now for non-violent drug issues. Um, People who have not done anything wrong to anybody else. They themselves may have been possessing, using, selling, manufacturing any given substance defined as drugs by the government and by the legal system, which is in tandem with the criminal justice system. As I grew as a child into a man, I have had discussions with my dad about this issue, and I just never understood why, I still don't today, like how can, what's the logic behind putting someone in a prison cell for doing a drug, let's say marijuana, and then meanwhile you have people out getting drunk on whiskey and wine, and that's, I guess, one of the main things that's kind of like, if I lived in a world in a society where it was like hands off, no recreational substances, well then it would be one thing. But because they're like picking and choosing and trying to tell people what they can and cannot use, it's kind of odd on that level alone. Now, just because I'm talking about the fact that people shouldn't be in jail for nonviolent drug crimes doesn't mean that I feel, all drugs are safe, or that I advocate people, becoming addicted to drugs, because obviously that is a big problem. Part of the problem that I see and that a lot of other people note, obviously everything I'm going to tell you here today is nothing new. I just wanted to put this down in a video format. Many people before me, or many people walking around the streets today with me, and in the political houses even, agree with the sentiments of what I'm saying. Part of the problem as to why we have so much violence in our society still, in my opinion, is because we are taking police resources and this system in general's resources, prison space, and we're devoting that to these nonviolent people. And it's like, don't, sorry. And that's what it's like. It's like, don't, it's like one of those things. It's like, is this for real? Like, if you can't put one and two together and see that, maybe if you, instead of having your police target the nonviolent drug offender, maybe if you would focus on getting these rapists locked up, maybe we wouldn't have 1 in 5 women being raped or sexually assaulted in the United States. That's like the rough statistics from what I've seen lately, tragically, right? I mean, to talk to 1 out of 5 women that I know and know that they've been sexually assaulted, that's disheartening. And I have personally talked with them to say that ratio probably is accurate. So I would really ask everyone, if it's even just for that initiative, let's say, hey, look, let's really wake up here and shift our resources and go after the real bad guys, the rapists, the murderers, the bank robbers, etc., the bad guys, the ones who are, out using violence. And, obviously there are some things that aren't necessarily violent that are wrong that, may deem, like someone may be burglarizing someone's house when they're not home. Well, they're not getting into any acts of violence, but they are, however, they are, that is a wrongdoing upon someone. And if someone, we can talk about that later, because that's a secondary thing, but I have a whole nother concept of how to deal with those people. See, I would first separate nonviolent, even with when we do delineate this down to the real crimes, we still have to, I think, distinguish violence versus nonviolence and go from there. Another aspect about the prison system is that it's not very healing the way that it is today. we can make it a lot more therapeutic. I think we have to think on the level of think that that's your child or your grandchild in prison there for whatever crime, and let's make it so that maybe they never had the proper parenting, and should we just be another person that's just going to chalk them down the line and not care, or can we really make our prison systems more therapeutic and healing? So that would just be my statement about that. Now, to be clear, I respect the valiant law enforcement officers of the day, the ones who are targeting the real criminals, going after the violence, etc. And I would ask any police officer to change their ways if they are going after nonviolent drug offenders, and just don't even deal with them. Look the other way. And realize, okay, we got to wait for the laws to catch up, but sometimes, quote unquote, ground control has to pick up the slack. And I'm saying that in the sense of power to the people. The police officer of the day, well, that's who really is the law of the land. It's not, you could say it's the judge, it's the court, it's the lawyer, but you know what? It's the guy on the ground. It's the police officer. It's law enforcement officer in general. So again, I just want to say I really respect and I appreciate all the law enforcement officers who are protecting against violence. And again, I ask you to just recognize when I'm saying that, hey, yeah, this guy is logical, what he's saying. We need to stop going after these nonviolent drug offenders. That's all I just wanted to say today. Hope and peace.